Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. Today I have something really awesome to show you, and that's a drawing program in Minecraft. I made Paint and it has the ability to fill, use pencil, rubber. You can pick a color by using the color picker, or you can change the color by just clicking the buttons on the wall. You also have the ability to change the size of your pencil. To change it, you simply drop the sunflower to get the pencil smaller, and you drop the glass paint to get it bigger. Another thing you can do is to undo just by dropping the barriers. And you can load, rename, save, and delete files. You can also rotate and flip the paper. You can undo. You can reset the whole paper. Let's just draw a little line here and reset, and as you can see, it disappears. You can click that sign to get all the tools. Let's just try to make a smiley face or something. We begin with the eye, for example. Yes. Take a bigger size. We make a mouth, a smile, and we select a smaller size on the pencil, make it around there. We can select, for example, orange color and make orange as the skin. It can take a little while to fill the whole thing because it is not very fast, and that's because the game only ran 20 ticks each second. So in order to make it even faster, I would have to make it run the same action several times each tick, and in order to do so we'd have to need much more command blocks. We can just call this face. You can save it. In the chat you can see saved as new file, because there was no other file that had that name. We can load it, and you see in the chat file loaded. We can load other files. So now let's just try to rename a file. In order to do so, we have to load a file. Let's load mine. Click load, file loaded, then change the name. Let's change it to lol. Click rename, and in the chat you can see change the name. If you know load, it works. But if we know load mine, it can't find any file with that name because we just renamed it. Now it doesn't work to delete the file because we just loaded a file that did not exist, so we have to load LOL again. Then we can delete it. So now the file is deleted. When we now load it, can't find any file with that name. You can also flip and rotate. So I'm just going to show flip, and it flips and it rotates 90 degrees. Yes. So that's all there is. In the rest of the video, I'll try to explain how everything works. So let's begin with the simplest first. Here we have different categories of blocks that you can paint with. And how it works is we just have structures blocks that get a redstone input and loads the different blocks. So what the next thing up is the changing of color. So when we click a button, it changes the color. And how it works is simply that when you click the button, it will give a red signal to the common block behind. That says that you shall clone the block behind it up to here, and it also powers this common block that says that you shall place a redstone block there. Then all these common blocks runs and they replaces all of these blocks with that block, and that's simply how it works. So next thing up is the tools. The first thing you need to know is that the tools does only work when you're on top of the paper. So if you're outside, you can see the redstone block disappears, and when you're on the paper, they come back. The only exception for this is the endo. You can endo outside of the paper. The way it works is that it checks if you're on top of stone and y coordinate 50. Under the whole paper there is stone, but nowhere else. This means that when you're on top of stone, it will run the commands, but when you're outside of the paper, it will not run the commands. I can begin to explain the pencil. The pencil draw a line underneath you. The way it works is that it checks for if you have a torch in your hand named pencil. If you have, it will clone this shape, as you can see under here, under the player onto the paper. So wherever you are on the paper, it will be cloned underneath you. If you change the size of the pencil, you will get another shape or another size. So it gets, for example, smaller. Erase works the exact same way as the pencil, but it will be white. The color picker works almost the same way as picking it just by clicking buttons. The only difference is that it selects the color that you are on top of. Here you clone first the block into you are on top of into here, then you just do all the commands that replaces the blocks here. Now I will try to explain how the size works. When you drop a glass pane, this will get bigger, or you can click the sign. If you drop a sunflower, it will get smaller, or you can click the sign. You can also click the biggest sign or the smallest sign to get it either the biggest or smallest size. When you change the size, the Amazon will either teleport this direction or this direction. When it teleports this direction, it will get a bigger slice that clones over here. If it clones that direction, it will get a smaller slice than before and clone it over here. In the end, all of this will be cloned slice by slice down here, so that it's ready to use by the pencil. The endo works so that when you drop it, it will endo. Then the upper layer here will clone onto the paper. Then all of the other blocks underneath, or the other layers down here, will be cloned one place upwards. When you draw with either pencil, use the erase or the fill, it will clone the paper down, then all the layers one place down, exactly the opposite as undo, as you can see there. The last tool we have is the fill. What it does is that it fills with a selected color inside or the things within the same color, like this. Then it gives back the bucket when you have filled. If you drop the bucket on the same color that you've selected, you will immediately get the bucket back. If you drop it and you don't want to finish, you can drop the lava bucket and it will stop. First, it will check for an item that is a bucket. If it is a bucket anywhere, it will run all our commands. First, it will check if it's the same color as you selected that you want to fill, and if it is, it will just give back the bucket. If it is not, it will place a redstone block there in between and run these commands. So if you have dropped the lava bucket before it has finished, it will give back a bucket, place air here, and it won't finish. It will stop the commands. If you don't drop the lava bucket and let it run, all of these command blocks will run until it has finished. So what that does is that it summons an armor stand where you drop the bucket. Then it checks for the block underneath it. If it's the same as at the side, it will summon an armor stand that place too. If it is not, it won't do that. Then it does that on all of the sides. Then it clones the selected color under the armor stand and kills it. After that, it will select a random armor stand and continue doing that until everything has filled. So when there is no more armor stand left, it will give back the bucket and clone the paper down to the undo place. We also have the signs right here. First one gives you the tools. First, it clears your inventory with this command block. Then it gives you all the other items in order. The next one resets. What it does first, it clones this thing down to the undo place, then fills everything with the air. White wool. The undo is just like dropping this. It goes back one place. Last thing is the flip and rotate signs. If you click them, it will place a redstone block down here. This structure block will save it, save the paper, then rotate it 90 degrees. If you flip, this one will save it, then it will load out with a flip. Very simple. In the end, we have the save, load, delete, and rename signs. This makes us able to save, load, delete, and rename files. It actually works much the same as the structure blocks. It works a little bit differently, but first you must type in a name. Then you can save. The paper will save down here, and it will stack on top of each other, each save. Then when you click load, after for example resetting, clicking load, it will load, and when you delete, it will be deleted from the stack. And you can't find any file with that name because we deleted it. You can rename it after saving a file. So if you selected a file, we can delete, rename I mean, and now its name is hello. Now you can load it as hello. The way that save works is that it checks each of the files if it has the same name as you wrote on the wall. If it has, it will just replace the file. If it don't, it will save as a new file and it will stack on top of each other. The way that load works is that you have to type in a name, for example art, then load, and it loads. How it works is that it checks if any of the files down here has the same name as what you wrote on the wall. If it has, it will just clone up. If no of the files has, it won't do anything. It will just send you a message. Can find a file with that name. The way delete works is that we have to first load a file. We already had loaded this file, but I just wanted to show. Then when we delete, it will just clone all of the other files that is on top of that file down one place, including the names. And that's actually everything for the deleting. The last thing we have is the rename. What this does is it checks if any of these files has the same name as written on the wall. If no of them has, it will rename the loaded file. We can just load a file here. We can, for example, load whale, load. Then we can rename it to, for example, lol rename, and change the name. So next time we load up lol, the whale will come up. If we rename a file to something that already exists, for example hello, then rename. Another file already have that name, delete existing file to rename this. So if we delete hello, then load lol and rename it to hello, it will change the name. This save and load thing also have some restrictions, because the more files you have, the slower it becomes. It also can only store 256 files, because from the bottom of the world to the top, it is only 256 blocks.